You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Because we all have fears, don't we? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because of fear. Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real. I'm reminded of the story of a guy that was living in an area where he had some new neighbors, and these neighbors had a bulldog. And when he came home every day, this bulldog used to chase him about a half a block from his house. Every day he would have to streak home. I mean, he would just run. This bulldog would be right on his heels. And so he just got tired of that, because he would go home about a half a block away from home. He would look around for this bulldog and he wouldn't see him. And he would go walking casually along, and this bulldog come out of nowhere, woo, 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 and start chasing him. He'd run home. So this one day he just got tired. And so when the bulldog was running after him, he started running. He saw a rock and he stopped to pick it up to throw at the bulldog. And when the bulldog got up on him, he started barking. He realized the bulldog didn't have any teeth in his mouth. Then he started chasing the bulldog. If you don't get all away from it. Because the most the bulldog could have done is gummy, you know. And so, you know what? Most people go through life running scared. Running scared from things that have no teeth in them. Because they're false expectations appearing real. That, see, we're brilliant enough to scare ourselves to death. Do you realize that? There are some people actually who get a kick out of scaring themselves to death. I remember the last frightening movie I saw. It was The Exorcist. I will never forget. I was so frightened when I came home. I'll never forget. I drove in the driveway, and I had already called my former wife and said, listen, turn the lights on. I was coming in the driveway, and I was getting out of the car, and all of a sudden I couldn't get out. I started blowing my horn. I said, Madeline, they got me, they got me. She came to the kitchen and said, take your seatbelt loose, fool. I said, oh, okay. I was frightened out of my wits. But there are a lot of people who they get off on that. They love it. I'm a person, my brother is a paratrooper. My twin brother, he's in the military, career man. I would love to jump out of an airplane to parachute. I'm scared, though. I mean, I really admire my brother for that. I would really love to be macho man like that. What are the things that you fear that's been keeping you from living your dream? That's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? Just think about those things. And how do we begin to handle that? Abraham Maslow said that life is about growth. And he said, you can either go back to your comfort zone, and there you won't find any growth, or you must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again. Because you're never going to have a fear-free existence. I mean, some fear is acceptable and legitimate. There are some things that you really should be afraid of. Now, you shouldn't allow it to immobilize you. You acknowledge it, you take it into account, and you carry yourself accordingly. There are times that we should proceed with caution. But it's the difference between being stopped by fear. It's the difference between having a fear and the fear having you. So what do? One, acknowledge it. And knowing that it's okay. Don't condemn yourself for being afraid. It's perfectly fine to have some fears. You acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on. You act on whatever it is that you fear. Because once you embrace it, see, what you resist will persist. What you resist will persist. So one of the most important things is to begin to embrace your fear. The fear of bodily harm, that's legitimate. When I was a disc jockey in Columbus, Ohio, you know, I was young, about 22, 23, thought I was tough, and I was on the air, and Al Green, who was a great performer at that time and still is now singing gospel music, had a record. His first hit record was Back Up Train. So a guy came in the town and was impersonating Al Green. I happened to know Al Green because I'd already booked him. And so when I found out this guy was impersonating Al Green, I came on the air and did an editorial about it, and I exposed him. He was a rather big fellow, and so he had the word out that when I see this guy Les Brown, the disc jockey, I'm going to knock him in the mouth for having a big mouth. So I was driving down Main Street in Columbus, Ohio, had my son in the car, and I always had this little saying, hey, if anybody ever put a threat out on me, I'm going to make them honor it. So I saw this guy in the street. So I pull around. I said, excuse me, I'll be right back. Got out of the car. I said, hey, man, I heard you said that you were looking for me. I'm Les Brown. He said, you are? I said, yeah. I said, what is it? I'm the one that said that you are an imposter. I said, I want to know what you're going to do about it. He opened his coat and he had a gun there. I say, but whatever I said to hurt your feelings, I want you to know. One major fear I've always had is a fear of the dentist. And this fear had me. I didn't have that fear. And what really reinforced it, you got to watch things that can feed your fear. I saw a movie that most people would not remember. This movie was starring Dustin Hoffman. It's called The Marathon Man, with Laurence Olivier. When he's trying to get a confession out of here. And he took this drill out. Let me tell you something. When he went in Dustin Hoffman's mouth with that drill, I had $1 worth of popcorn. That popcorn went everywhere. Oh! Do you know I could not go to the dentist for 5 years? I had left broadcasting, went to the Ohio legislature, had an impacted wisdom tooth. Now that hurts. And I would call, and as soon as the people would answer the phone, I would hang up. That's how frightened I was. Dr. Hamler's office, boom, I'd hang up. Then I got to the point where I could just ask for an appointment. Hello? And I wouldn't give my real name. Because I knew I wasn't going to keep it. I'd give anybody's name. Joe Jiggly Jim, it didn't matter. Then pretty soon I got to the point where I could give my name. It was about 4 years after that, you know. I said, my name is Les Brown. Then I would call back and say, look here, due to my legislative agenda, I won't be able to make it. So the lady finally said on the phone, she said, you're scared, aren't you? I said, no, I'm not. She said, then why don't you come in? I said, that's none of your business. She said, you're not coming in because you're scared. I wish you just would not waste our time. And she hung up. I said, you have no right to do that to people like me, you know. So finally, to make it long and short of it, I was hurting so bad. I said, wait a minute, I've got to do something. And I said, what am I afraid of? Go there and handle it. I said, man, Dr. Hamler, I just can't hear this drill. I mean, if you can do whatever, I don't need to hear this drill, that sound, you know, that's what gets me, that drill. Don't pull that drill out on me. He said, just calm down, calm down. And it wasn't really bad as I thought it was. One of the things you find out that when you face your fears, it's not as bad as you think it is. And when people tell you, I just can't do it, I can't handle it, I mean, really, I can't handle it, what they're envisioning is that they're not going to be here. They're going to clock out like you're going to die. And guess what? We all had occasions when we confronted our fears, we had to do something we felt uncomfortable with, we didn't want to do it, and we did not die. They didn't come take us and put us in a box somewhere. Am I right? So what we've got to begin to do, how do we handle that? What's the process? Because it's all up in here. One, I think, is imagine the worst case scenario. I just imagine that he went in my mouth and with this drill and that I just croaked out. Then I imagine, that's the worst case scenario. Then I had another technique I used. Visualize yourself being more than able and capable of handling it. And I used to have a tremendous inferiority complex about speaking before people that I felt who had more going for them than I did. Because I'm not college trained, I used to feel that college people were the most intelligent people on the planet. And there was nothing I had to say for them. And what will they listen to me for? That's the way I felt. And so I had to visualize myself speaking before them, speaking before various audiences that had more going for them than I did, and realize and appreciate my own value and that I was a worthwhile person, even though I didn't have all going for me. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the education that they had. So part of the process is seeing yourself, being worthy, being capable, having what you need to make you a worthwhile person, and that you're more than able, and that you deserve to be listened to, or you deserve to have that dream and that passion and whatever it is that you see and envision there. You've got to see it in your mind's eye and know that you've got what it takes. Repeat after me, please. I must see in my mind's eye. See myself. Confronting my fears. Handling my fears. I'm more than able.
Over caution. Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. This is called the timid approach to life. And my caution was always the risk. Risk used to drive me right up the wall. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. I could always ace myself out. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. If you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. See, it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right, that's what it's for. Give it a go. Somebody says, yeah, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then huddle in a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day. And we'll protect you, feed you, look after you, care for you. We won't let anything happen to you, and you'll probably live to be 100. The guy said, well, yeah, I'd live to be 100. But what a way to live. Right. What a way to live, safe and secure. Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live.
What is fear? What are we so scared of? What's going to hurt us? What is this thing that we fear is going to bring so much pain in our lives? Ever thought about it? What is it? What is the thing that we're so scared that's going to bring in all this pain to our lives? I remember figuring this out for myself. And when I did, I wasn't so scared anymore. Because sometimes, the things, once you understand them more, they're not so terrifying. Once something becomes knowable, you can develop competency around it. Once you can develop competency around it, then you can develop confidence around it. There's this old thing in psychology we call the competence-confidence loop. The more you understand something, the more confidence you have in that area. Same thing with anything that does happen to impulsively generate some fear in yourself. Well, now once you understand what it is, you can deal with it better. Because what we're all fearing is basically 3 types of pain. 3 areas that we might experience pain in our lives. And once we understand that, we can reorient our mindset around those things and no longer be frustrated or stopped by fear. The first thing that we fear pain in our lives is what I call loss pain. Loss pain is, well, if I change my life or I do this new thing, I'll experience loss. And because I experience loss, I don't want to do it. So I'm scared to try it because I might lose something that I like, I care for, I adore. If I go and make that big change in my life, I might lose my job. I might lose my relationship with my spouse. I might lose my connection with my kids. I might lose a passion. I might lose a benefit, right? I remember when I wanted to go and start my own business. Everyone was generating all this fear in you by saying, well, be careful, this is very dangerous, Brendan. You don't want to quit your job and lose all that security you have. What about your 401k, Brendan? You're going to lose your 401k. All these things we think we're going to fear. And the reality was, part of that was true. As I thought more about the situation, I was concerned. I was fearful that I would lose the security I had that the job provided. I would lose that steady paycheck we all want. I would lose that predictability of my career path. I would lose that nice process of having managers around to kind of coach and consult me into higher levels of performance. I would lose the peer set. I love my coworkers. I lose some of the work that I loved. I would lose that great lunch and cafeteria. It's like you think of all these things you're going to lose, so you don't make the decision to quit. Same thing, like people are going to try and quit smoking, or they're going to try and start a diet. They're fearful that they're going to lose that smoking break that gives them that peace and that comfort and that sense of calmness from breathing in deep, even though they're breathing in death. They're fearful, if I change my diet, I'm going to lose those foods that I love so much. So I'm not going to change. And that's what people do. They're fearing loss. So part of reorienting our lives is start focusing on the things that instead of what we're going to lose, of what we're going to gain. Yeah, I might lose my security for the short term, but over the long term, I might have more freedom. I might gain freedom. I might lose that coaching and that person who's going to develop me in terms of that organizational structure. But over here, I'm going to gain greater challenges. I'm going to grow faster because I'm going to be doing things faster on my own. Oh, you know what? I'm going to lose that 401k. Yeah, but I'm going to make $1 million over here. Focusing on those gains. See, what happens in the fearful mind, it starts asking this question, what if? And it follows that phrase with a negative statement. What if this terrible thing happens? What if this terrible thing happens? What if this terrible thing happens? And we generate and we stew within our gut these acids and these fears that literally trick our mind into thinking we can't change. But once you understand loss pain is something you're dealing with, start focusing more on the things that you will gain, and you're getting over a hurdle. The second thing that we fear so much is what I call process pain. Process pain is changing in anything is going to be hard. The process of change itself is hard, let alone what we'll lose. Doing something new is hard. When I went to think about starting my new business, I was terrified. I'm like, it's going to be hard. I don't know how to do those things yet. I don't have any competency in those areas yet. I'm not sure how this will go. I'm going to have to work 24/7 starting this business. I'm going to have to work really hard for 3 years. I might not be able to get any support and help. The process is scary, so we don't change. Same thing for that person who thinks of quitting smoking. They're not thinking of the freedom of quitting smoking and living healthier. They're not thinking of being able to breathe and get up the stairs. They're thinking of the process of dealing with quitting the addiction, the withdrawals, the frustration, the shakes, the addictions to the nicotine, and how challenging that is. The person trying to start the new diet, it's the same thing for them. Process pain. They're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go shop in new shopping places to get fresher food. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to learn to cook new meals. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to, start exercising. Oh, how hard is that going to be? And we think of all the things that are going to be hard in doing those things. But part of the mastery of life is learning to see change as a game. Learning to see challenges as something that we can joyously enter, to become the joyous master in the processes of our lives. To understand, yes, they might be challenging, but challenge is good. Challenge will develop us. Challenge will help us reach our highest self. Challenge will help us live that fully charged life. That process, it can be engaging and fun and exciting and new. It can bring variety and spice into our lives. We can look forward to the process of change. And when we switch our mind that way, we start to change more often. And the third thing that most people are actually fearing is they're fearing what I call outcome pain. They're scared that what if they lose all these things in changing? What if they go through all this terrifying, difficult work and then the grass is not greener? The outcome is no better than I had it at the very beginning. I was terrified that with my business too. I thought, oh my gosh, what if I begin this business and I do all these things and I work my butt off, but I don't make it? I don't earn any more money. I don't have a better lifestyle. I don't grow as fast. What if on the other side of the fence, it's not any better? And we sit and we think, what if it's not better? and I would have to go through all that. And if we're stuck there thinking that way, we never change. So part of the maturity and the mastery of life is realizing too that instead of focusing on the outcomes that are negative, we can start thinking and dreaming about and visualizing and really giving our attention, our focus, and powers of attraction into those things that would be powerful and good and satisfying, fulfilling, happy, joyous on the other side of that fence. The things that would turn out to be wonderful and magnificent if we changed our life. Like if I quit the smoking, I'm finally gonna be able to feel good again. I'm not gonna have to be addicted to some small little thing that's killing millions of people, that's just feeding these huge organizations that are killing people over and over and over again. I'm not gonna perpetuate a disease in my body or in my family. I'm not gonna make everybody carry on my addictions. Oh, you know what? In that new area too, I'm gonna feel fit and happy and vibrant and energized on my own again. Oh, when I start that diet, you know what? I'm gonna really enjoy tasting some new foods because I haven't tasted good food for a long time. I'm going to actually enjoy going out with people again. I'm gonna enjoy shopping again to find clothes that actually fit my body. You start thinking about all the things that will be positive from that change. And when you do that, you start to master your mind and direct it better. Because you know what? When you're obsessing about loss pain, process pain, and outcome pain, guess what? The more you focus on those, the more you obsess about those types of pain, your brain and your body goes, no, don't do that. I don't want to experience that. Because we've built and we've been gifted with this incredible contraption here that is unbelievably driven to avoid pain. And when we realize that, then we have to stop suffering in our mind and stewing in our mind about the pain we might experience if we do the very things that would improve our lives. You and I both know what would improve our lives. Why aren't we doing it? Because somewhere there we've probably associated a lot of loss, process, or outcome pain to it. And today might be a great day to sit down and say, what do I really want in my life? Why have I not been progressing faster? And when you start exploring that question of why have I not been progressing faster, you might discover loss, process, and pain at work, and you're gonna flip it now and focusing on the gains, the joys, and the positive outcomes. And when you start to do that, you'll find yourself being that joyous master. You'll find yourself getting further ahead in life, and you might just find that life can feel fully charged once again.